Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Falcon Punchcast. As always, it is I, Mr. Falcon Punch, aka Shaheen, and I am joined with my good friend Hamza, aka Darth Messiah.
Hello, I'm the Manila to Shaheen's Godzilla.
So you're
I'm
like
your...
my weird little son.
I should have gone, and now that I think about it, I should have gone the Anguirus to Shaheen Godzilla. That's a more accurate statement and a more famous duo. Because
when you were going like, let me think about like a duo, I literally thought that's what you're going to be saying. I wasn't expecting Manila.
I think my hatred for him just brought him up to the forefront.
We'll just say you're Heisei Manila instead of Showa Manila.
Yeah, sure, okay, yeah.
Heisei has a cooler design. You know, he doesn't look like a sack of potatoes like the Showa.
True.
Even though over time, I've kind of grown attached to that design. Maybe not so much the movie, but I kind of like the stupid looking potato Godzilla baby boy.
Nah, I hate it. It should burn in hell.
Should burn in hell. Fuck that baby.
like that meme, kill it with fire. Like, yes, kill it with fire. It does not belong. It has no rights.
It has no rights. Kaiju have no rights. Fuck kaiju. I mean, sounding like a bit like a red man over there, Hamza.
Listen, if they're attacking the city, you gotta go for it. You gotta kill them.
Gotta execute them. Gotta decapitate them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hamza sees a kaiju. Red fight.
Redman's a serial killer. that's different.
The way that, like, I've seen a couple episodes of that short, and the way some episodes are framed, he really does feel like a serial killer.
Yeah, like a kaiju's just like sitting there, minding its own business, no humans around. Don't even know if whatever planet or environment they're in has humans or whatever. But like, no, it's I gotta kill.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious about his backstory. But as you could tell, with all this kaiju and Godzilla talk, the topic of this podcast is all about Godzilla. You know, the big G, everyone's favorite kaiju. For the most part, I'm pretty sure there's someone out there being like, actually, my favorite kaiju is Gamera, which, you know, is valid. Gamera's cool, but he's not Godzilla.
I thought it'd be like, Mothra is a mother. All right, she's
Mothra's mother.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, people could like Mothra. Mothra had her own trilogy of movies that I got to see sometime.
True, but I've heard it's got bad reviews, though. That's my only.
I've heard mixed things. I've heard some people saying like they're decent. I've heard some people say they're straight up bad. So I just got to see it myself one day. There's a lot of like non-Godzilla kaiju movies I really need to see at some point.
I tried watching the Rodan spin-off movie by itself on Tubi. The quality of the picture was so bad. I'm not watching this. I'll just take the Rodan I saw in the Godzilla movie. That's it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's probably like a higher quality out there for it somewhere, but like Tubi's kind of weird where they don't usually have it.
Yeah, that's my only one. Like, well, I hope Tubi fucked up by not getting it. So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like a Criterion collection. Or I gotta check Max because I think Max might have that movie.
Oh yeah, because Warner Brothers owns TBS. No, what's that? With that station that has all the classic movies. So,
TCM.
Yeah,
TMC.
I think TMC, whatever that is. Yeah, and I think also the Criterion Collection, because I think I don't remember. Okay, I don't know these large conglomerates.
Right. I think recently the Criterion Collection, they said they're going to grab some of the Heisei movies, some of the earlier Heisei movies. So that's pretty exciting. Nice. Anyways, this podcast main topic is going to be all about the big G. We have a couple topics we're going to dive into while discussing Godzilla, and first of which is our personal histories with Godzilla, you know, how we got into Godzilla. So Hamza, I'll let you go first on this one. What's your personal history with Godzilla?
So my personal history, it probably starts with the. I know people don't like this, the 1998 Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick. Uh, that was probably my first ever like the first time I ever heard of Godzilla. That was probably it. Probably the first movie I ever watched. I'm not sure I can 100% confirm that, but that's what I remember. Like the first ever piece of Godzilla media I was watching, and then from there, I think during high school or university, I can't remember. I went through like a binge of like Godzilla like movies and stuff. But it was like a mixed match. I did some Millennium, I did some Heisei, some more modern, because I think like Godzilla 2014 was out at the time. So I like jumped around and stuff. But like now, very recently, I went through the Heisei movies, and I think I gave Shaheen my reviews on like almost all. I think all of them. So yeah, I'm done with the Showa era, and I'm now going to dive into the Heisei era, starting with like 1984, Return of Godzilla, is where I'm at. I've also read. Have I read any Godzilla? I've read some of the Godzilla IDW comics, not all of them. So I'm going through that as well as we speak. Yeah, so that's literally my history with Godzilla. And I also saw not all of them, but a good chunk of episodes of the Godzilla animated series, which is fantastic. Unlike the movie, the movie's not good, but the animated series itself is like awesome. Awesome animation, great storytelling, great characters. Nothing like the movie. Monster of the week, that type of episode. And it's like the kaiju designs upon kaiju designs. So it's literally the Falcon Punch's Red Dream. I don't know why he hasn't watched it yet. Yeah, like
I've been meaning to, because I have good memories of like the Kong TV show that was kind of like in the same vein as that Godzilla show. I'm not sure if they aired around the same time. I gotta watch both. There's a lot of cartoons in that era, like even the Men in Black show. I wouldn't mind seeing from that era.
I don't want to watch the Kong show because even as a kid, it felt stupid to me. Because for those who don't know, the Kong animated show, I don't know exactly what it's called.
It's just Kong.
Oh, it's just religious Kong? Okay.
Yeah, just
really?
Kong.
Okay. Very.
I still remember the opening. It's like Kong, King, Kong, Kong.
So there's this group of, I don't know, scientists, I guess, and they're on an island. I'm assuming Skull Island. Obviously, monsters attacking here and there, adventures ensue. But whenever Kong needed to fight a kaiju, there would be this headset that both Kong and like one of the humans would have, and the human would transfer his, I don't know, essence, soul, intelligence, whatever it was, into Kong, and then they would fight, and Kong would win. Because like I guess it's like both of them fighting together or whatever. Like friendship is magic, yay. That's. But I'm like, that is, as a 10-year-old, whatever, how old it was, I was like, that is stupid.
I don't know. As a kid, I thought that was pretty cool. I'm like, oh my god, he gets to fuse with the big monkey. And then also, like, what was cool about it as a kid, because I like, to me, it was more of the appeal of like every episode, because like Monster of the Week, obviously, but like the villains, they also had like a similar headset, but they were like monsterized like a normal animal. So they'll like find like a lizard or something, and they'll like shoot some kind of beam at it, and it will turn into a kaiju. And then the villains would like use their headset to go into that creature. I don't know why they can never just do Kong themselves, and like I don't know how that worked out. It's been I haven't seen it since I was like 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times with that show. But anyways, going back to Godzilla. So was that your like history with Godzilla?
Yeah, that's my history. I am right now. I'm really happy with at least most of the MonsterVerse, and obviously, yeah, I think Godzilla Minus One is the best Godzilla movie ever. I'm shocked that I can say that about a really modern Godzilla movie, but like, yeah, like we got the best memory. So yeah, that is my history and my like concluding story.
All right, yeah, definitely with the MonsterVerse, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, and like the current state of Godzilla, which is really good. It's very promising, but we'll get in that a bit later on. But my personal history of Godzilla is almost the same. I'm not sure if like the '98 movie was like my first experience of Godzilla, because I always feel like Godzilla's like one of those characters franchise that like is just so in the public consciousness, you feel like you just know them, like even if you've never experienced them. Like, you know, as a kid I didn't watch like the early Justice League cartoons yet, and like, you know, there was no new movies or TV shows, but like I still knew who Wonder Woman was, or I never watched a
Right.
Star Wars movie, but I knew what Star Wars was because it's like of parody or pop culture references or something. So it's just like, I feel like I probably knew who Godzilla was. But yeah, the '98 movie was probably like my first proper Godzilla movie, which I only liked it for the ending, which admittedly ripped off Jurassic Park. But
Right.
Jurassic
Yeah.
Park was one of my favorite movies back then, so I kind of didn't care.
Yeah.
And
I
then
also
for
okay.
some
So
reason, oh sorry,
I
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
So I to this day. I mean, as a kid, I just took it for what it is. I still I maybe because of that I still like the design of that Godzilla, especially if you add the animated series on top of that. I know people don't like it. It's like nothing like any other Godzilla design out there. Um, and like I think but I still do like it. I do find it dumb though that like he has air breath and he's like he only eats fish, um, and stuff like yeah like okay you're taking the teeth out like literally in some cases teeth out of Godzilla. But they kind of fixed it in the animated series. He does have atomic breath in the animated series. I can't remember the justification, but like yeah. Um, so yeah, I still do like it, and like yeah, the Jurassic Park ripoff because it came like 8 9 years after Jurassic Park. That was disappointing. It sneaks around the city and helicopters can't see it. I'm like, it's a giant ass monster. How do you lose it on
Yeah,
radar?
the movie the movie is definitely stupid. Even though I think it's because of that movie I knew what like virgin meant, like a virgin, because there's that
Oh,
scene where like they're explaining like Godzilla. I was like, what do you mean it's a virgin lizard? And like the guy was like all baffled. I'm like, mommy, what's a virgin?
oh God.
So yeah, that movie is responsible for me knowing what a virgin was at a very young age.
Oh, okay. I think I knew. It might have taught me. It was either that or Jurassic Park taught me what asexual reproduction was. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Yeah.
I think maybe for me it was still Godzilla, because I remember Jurassic Park. I don't remember like questioning much of it. I just enjoyed it as a movie.
Oh, but
Um,
like that part where like he finds eggs and he's confused, like why they're eggs? All the dinosaurs are female. How are they breeding? And it's like, ooh, nature changed them. Like nature's adapting. Which is like,
yeah, I
oh,
don't know. I guess I never. I mean, okay, when I was like that age, I'm like, I just want to see the dinosaur.
but to be
um,
fair, if you rewatch Jurassic Park, there's a lot of talking before you get to the dinosaurs. How did you like bear that?
See, I don't know. I even as a kid, I was such a practical effects fiend that like I would rent some of the most boring movies, but because there was some cool animatronic or something that I saw on the back of a VHS, I'm like, all right,
You would just be
I'll watch
patient
this.
enough to just wait for that one scene, even though like 90% of the movie is like useless or garbage.
Yeah, I remember like for the sequels trilogy of Star Wars, like I was never like that super into Star Wars, but I remember anytime I saw like Phantom Menace on TV, I'm like, this
Prequels,
looks really cool, and then I'll fall asleep. Oh yeah,
prequels.
prequels. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
prequel.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Before the comics
and
get
then
to you, I'm like, just
listen, guys, I really have no stakes in Star Wars, so like Star Wars, Star Trek, yeah,
it's not true.
whatever.
He told me how much he hated the acolyte, how woke it got, how all right. Yeah,
I've never even seen the show. In fact, I only know about the show because people keep on like
arguing about
reacting
it.
that way. Yeah, because they keep on reacting that way to it. That's the only way I'm somehow in the loop of Star Wars, because of people yelling about it. which makes me being like, I don't know, maybe they should have stopped.
I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan, but even I've stopped. Like, I for me, it's like it was a gradual decline, and then I'm like, you know what, it's over. Like, it's just done. This franchise is just done. Like, even the fans themselves are like killing each other. Like, I can't.
Yeah, it's a little too much. But yeah, so going on from the 1998 movie, I don't remember the movie itself that much for whatever reason. I know I must have played, like, I must have watched it multiple times, but I have not that much memories of it. As a kid, I did have a VHS for Godzilla 2000, and I remember the VHS cover because, like, the one I had,
Is
it
it
was kind of
Godzilla Millennium or Godzilla 2000, or it's just both?
well, the VHS I had was 2000. I'm pretty sure it was Millennium, or at least it was the first Millennium movie. I like just remember really touching the VHS a lot, like the slipcover for it, because it was like textured, so you could kind of feel the scales of Godzilla. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I guess whatever VHS my dad got, it came with a toy. And still to this day, I have that toy. It's on my shelf of all of my
Really?
figures. Yeah. So that, which is why I'm like really partial to that Godzilla design.
Okay.
The Millennium 2000 is like my favorite, just because I've had that toy and I've hung on to it for like the longest time.
It imprinted on you.
Yeah, it imprinted on me. So yeah, I really enjoy that. But like, still to this day, I'm like, what happened in that movie? I just remember the VHS cover and the toy. That's it. No other memories.
To be fair, to be fair, I have a bad memory anyways. I need to like re-remember stuff. You know this. I think we talked about it, right?
Oh well, yeah, like the amount of times you need to reread series or rewatch series.
Yeah. So like even I don't remember. I do remember enjoying it, but like I do need to like rewatch it. So like it is technically of the Millennium era, which I think I did. It goes back. That was like my first foray after, um, the 1998 one, because I want something like modern for the time, because obviously 2014 Godzilla didn't come out yet, Shin Godzilla didn't come out yet, so I wanted that. So that's like the latest one. But I didn't do Final Wars because Final Wars is like way too much stuff. I haven't seen Final Wars to this day, and I'm looking forward to like one day, because now that I have all the context of all the previous like Godzilla kaiju movies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think Final Wars needs that much because it's such a just dumb action movie.
I would like to get the references, bro. The references.
I guess. I don't really think it does any deep cuts to like...
I think the movie calls in 98 Godzilla Zilla. When that shows up, if you don't have the context for it, it's like, what? I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, but you've always seen the 98 movie. Everyone knows about it. I don't think it's like that big of a deal. But yeah, I remember I actually saw that with my anime club in university, which everyone kind of liked, but they're like, there's too much action in this movie.
So what do they want? I think they want a good balance. I want some talking. I want some.
Well, see, I understand with Final Wars, because it's not like you're getting a lot of kaiju action, because there's also like this special government squad, and there's also these aliens that are doing like Matrix like fights. And
okay.
And they have a lot of fights. And it's just like, okay, maybe like, can we go back to the kaiju fighting? I'm kind of not interested in these people doing all these funky flips.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, I probably should rewatch it, because I think, when you watch movies in the crowd, like the general vibe kind of sticks with you. So with some of them not really vibing with it too well, it might have affected my experience. So,
right.
See it by myself. But Godzilla, it was mainly those two things, and then as a kid, I wanted to be Godzilla when I grew up.
Okay, I never went through that. I wanted to have Godzilla as
and I wanted to be Godzilla, and I was a kid, so I didn't even know it was like it's a guy in a suit. I just wanted to be a giant monster, but that's not really a career. As later on,
liking Kaiju Gold Caramelized just makes even more sense now.
Listen, it's not like that. I'm just tired of you trying to draw.
No. This is not the you wanted to fuck a kaiju thing. That's okay.
All right.
I'm not letting that theory go. But
I mean, we'll get more into that later when we talk about the
it's
other
like no,
kaiju
but
in
like no,
Godzilla.
but like the main character of that literally turns into a kaiju.
Ah,
So
right,
that's what
right.
I'm getting at. I'm like, oh my god, this connected you on like a deeper level that even I don't even know if you realize.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I just discovered that. But also, if you guys haven't, highly recommend Kaiju Girl Caramelize. Great manga.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Godzilla, I wanted to be Godzilla, whether it was a man in the suit, but obviously I grew up and I knew I couldn't be that. I mean, I guess it's always possible to be a guy in a Godzilla suit, but that's probably way too hot. I sweat easily. Probably a right call. I didn't go in that direction.
Well, then, how did you feel about Reptar?
Oh, he was awesome. That was like he was great. Again, as a whole podcast was titled before we went on our big hiatus. I had a big reptilian childhood. It was all about the reptiles when I was a kid, which I'm surprised because of that. I never like owned a lizard.
Yeah.
I think it was because like my mom was like, okay, if we get a lizard, I'm probably because I'm a kid. She's going to have to be the one to take care of it, and she's like, I'm sure as hell not feeding bugs because
Yeah.
she hates bugs. So that's probably why I never got a lizard. But yeah, as a kid, all about the dinosaurs. It was Dino Mania with Jurassic Park and Barney. Then you had like Henry's Amazing Animals, which is the host of that was a lizard. You got Spyro. You got Digimon and Pokemon, and my favorite ones were like the lizard ones. Well, actually, my favorite Digimon's Gargomon, but in the beginning it was Greymon. So yeah, like
Oh my god, you had
lots of reptiles. Yeah, I know. Like when it comes to Digimon, well, not so much Digimon. My Digimon taste is a little bit more diversified.
This coming from a guy whose favorite Pokemon is Charizard, by the way. So I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah, no, but Charizard's my favorite Pokemon because he's just so cool.
Not a dragon.
Yeah, he's
not a dragon.
Well, later on they fixed that. They made him a dragon with that special
Mega.
evolution. Yeah, Mega Evolution. I forgot the name for that. Yeah, because they haven't brought it back. They keep on going with all these new gimmicks. But because of those new gimmicks, and I know people always hate it, because like Charizard will always get the new gimmicks, but like I think in like the most recent Pokemon game, like the original 3 starters, I think Charizard was the only one of the 3 to get like a part of that gimmick. So
oh, okay, I see. Yeah. I mean, he has been described. This is a tangent now. He has been described as like what Pikachu is for kids. That's what Charizard is for adults, like the adult Pokemon fan base. Like, so it's like that's how the 2 mascots work concurrently. It's like Pikachu will get the kids because he's like a cute little rat, and you want like the hardcore, like I want to let things explode. So yeah, get Charizard.
I guess. I mean, even as a kid, I'm like, Charizard fucking rocks.
Yeah, because like I mean, again, it's like depending on which age group you are, maybe gender even. But like yeah, like that's how it generally works.
Yeah, true. I mean, with Digimon, because I like Greymon, but then eventually, like, there's Gargomon and Beelzebubmon, which are just like Digimons with guns. Edgy Digimon with guns. But anyways, we're getting.
What is the Digimon with like just machine guns for hands? Yeah, like that's it. Like
that's Gargomon. Yeah, the bunny with the machine gun hands.
It evolves from Terriermon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right? Like it just goes from this like cute little like bunny green rabbit to like I have machine guns now. Just like what happened here?
Yeah, and then after that, it digivolves into like a mech.
Oh my god. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, Digimon's awesome. I love those evolutions. Most of them just don't make sense. Your little dragon ferret will eventually evolve into a beautiful angel man. So it doesn't make sense, but it's fucking awesome. But we'll probably do a Digimon or creature collecting podcast some other time. But going back to Godzilla, that's kind of our histories. But now let's get into our favorite non-Godzilla kaiju, because obviously Godzilla's the king, undeniable. He's the king of all monsters.
Just to understand, are we talking about other kaiju within Godzilla universe?
Within
Or...
the Godzilla franchise.
Okay. I thought we were gonna go like,
Again,
oh,
this
now
is the Godzilla podcast, so
got it. I thought we were gonna go like outside, like just kaiju in general. So then, like,
well,
I mean,
yeah, that's going to be too hard because there's like way too many. It's a little too
fine.
expansive.
Got it.
So yeah, what is your favorite Godzilla kaiju outside of Godzilla?
All right, hold on. I'm trying to look up the name. It's the Destroyer. That's the one. Yes. Again, I've not seen the movie, but it's just like, what if Satan was a kaiju? That's what you would get. And like, I love that. I love the design. It looks super devilish. Looks super satanic. I really, really like it. Oh, there's one picture where he has got like spider legs. That makes me creepy. But like, yeah, I really, really love that design. It's like, to me, it's the scariest ever. Kaiju design outside of Godzilla. Obviously, like, if there's anybody who's gonna kill and fuck up Godzilla, and you just showed me pictures of that one, that would be it. So yeah, that would probably be my favorite kaiju outside of Godzilla. Yeah.
Yeah, Destroyer is a pretty good pick. I also still haven't seen Destroyer yet, but I mean that design's like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I really hope MonsterVerse gets that right.
He has spikes on his knees, which is like that's so unnecessary. Yes, spikes on his toes and knees. I'm like, why?
Well, see that's a good segue to my favorite Godzilla kaiju.
Oh, okay.
Which is Gigan.
Oh, right.
Who has a fucking buzzsaw on his stomach and hook arms. And in Final Wars, they replace the hook arms with chainsaw arms.
Oh, okay. How does he rev it?
I don't know. He's some like alien kaiju bounty hunter assassin. It just works. I mean, I don't even know how the buzzsaw thing works, but like Gigan, I think
I see the picture. All right, I see the buzzsaws. Okay, all right, that's how it is. So so they did Chainsaw Man before it was cool.
Yeah, it was Chainsaw Kaiju or Alien. Gigan's awesome because I think he's like out of all of the Godzilla monsters, maybe besides Destroyer, I think he's like the most unique because most Godzilla monsters are like big bug, big lizard, or dinosaur, or dragon. Yeah, something like that. It's like big animal for the most part. Gigan is this weird lizard chicken alien with like a cyclops visor, a buzzsaw belly, the hook hands and the fins and all that. He's this weird mishmash of ideas, and it all works beautifully. I really remember the movie because that was one I often rented as a kid. He makes Godzilla bleed, which like as a kid I was pretty squeamish about blood, which is funny considering one of my favorite things now are like gore fests. But as a kid I was really squeamish about blood, so like the movie kind of scared me. But as a kid you kind of like being scared, but not really, as long as you're in that weird comfort zone. So yeah, he just like bashes Godzilla's head in with his like hook hand, and it makes Godzilla bleed a bit. Also, that movie is weird because like in the English dub, Godzilla and Anguirus talk, but it's really weird because like I don't know, they put some filter on it. It just sounds weird.
So you watched the dub. I saw the sub. In the sub, it's just balloons, and they just make like typical like Godzilla like roar noises, and typical Anguirus like roar noises. There's no talking. But it's like they just put like a thought bubble, like, oh, this is what they're saying, and obviously it's Japanese, and you can read the subtitles to get the English. But like, yeah, that's my experience. So like, I didn't get the weird dub noise you got when you told me.
Yeah, as a kid, it's like when I used to go to the video rental store, aging us. When I used to go to the store to pick up Godzilla movies, they were mostly just dubbed. So I most of my childhood was like Godzilla movies in English. Actually, I don't think until like Shin Godzilla did I ever see a Godzilla movie in Japanese.
Oh, really?
And it was like, yeah, most of the Godzilla movies I saw as a kid, I think they were all the dub. because like just the DVD, either the DVDs only had English, or I was a kid and I'm like, why am I going to read subtitles if it's in English? I wasn't into anime yet, so I wasn't like my mind wasn't broadened to reading subtitles. I'm like, no, English for everything. Why would I listen to something in a different language?
Huh. So, okay. So, yeah, what is Gigan's backstory, by the way?
He's just like this alien bounty hunter, which is weird because he still acts like a kaiju. So, like, I don't know. It's been a
Yeah,
while since
like,
I saw the movie, but
who
I know
pays
he's a
him?
bounty
What's
hunter.
his rate? Does he have a rule against women and children? How do transactions take place with Gigan? That's what I want.
You see, Gigan, I feel is like almost like I kind of wish he was in the Ultra franchise. That way, he could have more of like
Oh,
a
right, yeah. Character.
because
Yeah.
Alien Bounty Hunter. I'm like, okay, that's just Ultraman. It's like an Ultraman villain. But the thing with Gigan is, like, I haven't seen too much of it, and we talked about it in the past. But I think Gigan gets a slight character development and backstory with the Godzilla puppet show on the Godzilla YouTube channel, Gojiban. Because not only does Gigan and a bunch of other various Godzilla monsters come out and they talk and have fun, but that show, like last year, I believe, expanded on Gigan and gave him lore and introduced his family. So he has like a little sister, an older sister, and his mom and dad who appear in that show and talk and have scenes, but I don't know what Toho was on when they made Gigan's sister, older sister, Lady Gigana. They gave her hips and everything, and her voice is like very flirtatious. And when she shows up in her episodes, she's just like flirtatiously poking all the other kaiju and like laughing, and that like Onesan voice. And I'm like, Toho, what are you trying to do here?
I can't really say Japan is really weird when it comes to that stuff. Even, Toku in general.
So, at least there is a kaiju to properly simp for.
If you want that, sure. Did you not have... Was that a problem? It's like, man, if only these kaijus were sexy. That's what I miss.
Not really, but like most things, as I've uncovered through reading and watching various things, you kind of... Things become unlocked.
Oh, okay. It's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope. All of a sudden, there's like a sexy kaiju. I'm like, damn.
Are they going to put her in like an official movie at any point?
I don't know. I don't think so. It'd be interesting, but like that'd be crazy if MonsterVerse somehow does that. Like we just get like a bunch of Gigans, like one of them happens to be the sister.
Yeah, I could see that. But like, so the only because we haven't talked about it, but Gigan recently got like an anniversary thing that was like really, really awesome. And
Gigan Rex.
What'd you think of it? Like, did that increase your love for Gigan? Did you like it? What's your thoughts on that?
I'm always down for more Gigan, and the Gigan Rex special is like really good. I'm like, this is what a Godzilla anime needs to be like.
And not Singular Point?
Listen, I appreciate what Singular Point was trying to do. It was just too smart for me.
Oh, yeah, was it smart or just unnecessarily complicated? Is my question.
I don't know. I consider you a little bit smarter than me, and you were like, fuck this anime, so I don't know. Maybe it was just too complicated.
It's like going so deep into it. I get you're trying to get to get really deep into science fiction of it all, but I'm like, I just want big monster to big monster thing. That's what I like.
Right. I appreciate it. Like, it wasn't for me, but I do appreciate it. And,
True.
It did look nice. I liked a lot of the designs of the kaiju in it.
Yeah.
We got Jet Jaguar, which I'm also a big fan of. He was like a mainstay in that, even though I was not too crazy about the Jet Jaguar design. Like the little skinny robot arms. I'm like, man, I kind of wish he looked more like the Ultraman ripoff he was.
Yeah. So that's Gigan. I like Destroyer. You want to get into favorite movies?
Yeah, so let's get into favorite movies. I have a feeling for both of us, it might be somewhat similar with, I mean, we kind of mentioned earlier, but
Yeah.
-1 was really good. Like, I know there's a lot of people being like, because I've seen people online, especially since I recently reopened Twitter. You can go follow
Famous.
me at Mr.FalconPunch, 2 N's. But a lot of people were kind of bitching about -1, being like, too many people are saying this movie's their favorite. It's all recency bias. Which, like, to an extent, I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know why people have to be angry about it, but like,
We're
I
nerds. We get
understand
angry.
that.
We get angry.
That's true. I mean, I don't. But -1 was just a really good fucking movie. Because I've liked most Godzilla movies I've seen. I mean, sure, like not all of them are winners, but -1 is like one of the few Godzilla movies that like got so much emotion out of me. Because like I love all the other ones, but most of the time it's like cool monster movie. You know, outside of maybe like the original that had like the message or you know, like there are some Godzilla movies that have theming, but I felt like this one, you know, you had theming and had the really good human drama and human characters you could really connect with and appreciate and like not get pissed off when they're on the screen. And like, you know, because like even like some of the other like really good Godzilla movies of the past, most of the time with like, the human stuff, like it could be compelling, but like nowhere near as compelling as -1.
But yeah, it's the first movie where I actually really cared about the humans, and I would literally there were times where like, if this movie just stays with the humans and doesn't really go back to Godzilla, I think I would be fine. Like to be honest, because like that's how good it was at like portraying the human characters and like really making you feel for them and their struggle and like making you hate Godzilla because this he just keeps fucking up this one poor man's life. Yeah, so it was so good. It was like horrifying. Like, you know, Godzilla chasing a tiny boat. He like walks through a town. He takes a step, and this whole like swath of humanity like bounces up when he, you know, does an atomic blast, like atomic breath, like blast. It's essentially a nuke, especially with like the recent MonsterVerse movies. Like, okay, this is just a cool popcorn movie to see monsters punch each other, and it's like doesn't really go deeper than that. But like, you know, Godzilla -1 is like it hits different.
It's cinema.
It's cinema. Yeah,
Because I like the more recent direction of the Japanese movies where you have like these web specials that are more like, you know, the cool actiony Godzilla stuff like the versus Gigan, and like there was like also like a Megalon one that came out fairly recently. But then with the movies, you know, you got like Shin Godzilla and -1, which are, you know, a little bit more thought provoking. They have messages and symbolism.
yeah. I hope we get more sequels to -1 in the future. Apparently, like, that's what the director said. That he wants more. Like he wants to do a versus movie next, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really hoping we still get one because I was waited for the longest time for a sequel to Shin Godzilla, especially with that ending with the tail and all the humans on it. I was like, wait, what's happening here? What is that? But we never got a resolution to that. So I'm really hoping that like we get sequels to this. Also, what was the budget? Like 15, 20 million for the special effects, and it looks better than like $100 million Hollywood movie with special effects. Like, what is going on with that? Like, that's like boggling my mind. The boat scene, I think it's like a mix of practical and CGI. Whenever the bomb goes into his mouth, that's like practical, and like they use like a practical model for like the water and stuff. Like, I don't know, it's like really fascinating. But like, yeah, like 15 to 20 million, amazing special effects to really make you feel that he's there. And like, maybe at first I thought like, oh, they cheaped out on the animation for Godzilla because he like, has this like really stiff walk. But then like, oh my god, it makes him look more creepy. Like that was. That was like, and it added to this like otherworldliness of Godzilla. Like, oh my god, this truly is like something out of this world.
Yeah, -1 did a really good job in genuinely making Godzilla scary, which I kind of like what Japan's been doing because like Shin Godzilla was obviously like that's the most like creepy looking Godzilla that's, you know, that's ever come out.
Yeah.
But in Shin, you know, he's kind of just like a an animal that's in constant pain, so you still kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah.
There's like empathy for him, like, you know, he doesn't want to do this, he's just in pain.
Yeah.
But -1 is like, this motherfucker needs to die.
Yeah, the Japanese people are have had enough of him, and they're like want to like be, especially that one guy. He's like, you like systematically somehow, even though you're an animal, you don't even know that I exist. To ruin my life. Also, did you like the whole thing going like the plates, like as he's charging up, the plates go in, like into his body, like it's like an action figure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it that was really cool because it kind of brought out like the, you know, the living weapon aspect of Godzilla.
So yeah, -1. In my opinion, it is like after I came out of the theater, I immediately texted Shaheen. It's like, Shaheen, telling you right now, this is the best kaiju movie ever, and it's like, like literally in the history of toku and cinema and whatever, like whatever like label you want to put on it, it's the best ever. And she's like, oh, okay. And he took it with a grain of salt, as like any normal person would. But then, he's like, Hamza, you were right.
Yeah, because like cause I was going to see -1 like the next day.
Yeah.
So at first I'm like, all right, buddy, don't get me too overhyped. Like,
yeah,
take it easy. Yeah, it's a really good movie. I mean, I also really like Gamera 3, Heisei Gamera 3. That's also like a kaiju movie. I think is probably like, for me, in my opinion, is like, yeah, this is peak kaiju cinema. But in terms of Godzilla movie, I mean, everyone has talked about -1. Other Godzilla movies, I also really enjoy and appreciate. You know, Shin Godzilla, I thought was really good. Kind of revitalized my interest in Godzilla when it was coming out.
same.
I unfortunately wasn't able to see it in theaters because Dubai did not get it in theaters for a very long time, and by the time it came out, I saw it illegally.
Yeah. I love how both Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1 is like, the government sucks and they don't care about you. To be fair, okay, Shin Godzilla, they're incompetent because like everything has like a meeting that has a meeting that has a meeting, and it's like the bureaucracy of it all. Like they can't respond to situations quickly enough. But
Right.
yeah, no, in -1, it's like they don't give a shit about you. You are just walking like meat packets for them. But, yeah.
Yeah, I love when -1 was coming out. People like, you know, that group of people on social media were just like, "This is real cinema. It's not woke." And I'm like, you guys just, you know, I think I watch movies with a smooth brain, but like clearly, I no. The good thing about those people, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm not as dumb as I think I am.
Yeah.
I could always be worse off. But yeah, no, those two movies are fantastic. But beyond that, I think before -1, I think my favorite Godzilla movie was probably GMK, or Godzilla versus Mothra versus King Ghidorah, which is a really good one. And also like another one where like Godzilla's just, you know, a straight up villain. In a weird twist of events in that movie, Ghidorah is actually like the good guy in a sense. But really great Godzilla movie. Also, it's Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, but like my favorite moment is with Baragon, who shows up in that movie. But you know, he doesn't get any top billing, which kind of sucks. Poor Baragon. But another great movie where Godzilla is just scary as fuck, and like this one, he's kind of like, if you've ever seen like pictures of the movie, you know, Godzilla's eyes are like whited out because like in this one he's like possessed with like the sins of the people of Japan.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, so it's a really good take on Godzilla.
That's weird.
Great action effects.
In the 1954, the original Godzilla, like OG Godzilla, it's like, oh, this is a manifestation of Japan's fear of like, you know, nuclear weapons. Now it's like, it's sins, which is like a weird, like we've gone like,
right. I mean, it was a unique idea. The guy who directed it was the same guy who directed the Heisei Gamera.
Oh, okay, that's why you like it.
Which is good for him because originally he really wanted to direct a Godzilla movie, but I think at the time Toho didn't really want him because I think he used to direct like erotic films before all the kaiju stuff. So like Toho was
Oh,
like, yeah, we don't know, buddy. Better look next time. So then he got his whole thing with Gamera, and then the greatest kaiju trilogy ever with the Heisei Gamera films, and then Toho was like, you know what? You want to make a movie with us?
okay. Or that's good. At least like you know, they made the right decision. So yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, glad that he was at least able to do his own Godzilla movie. So he's definitely one of the kaiju greats among directors.
Okay. So what's next? Let's see. So
What before we go on to like the state and future of Godzilla, let's just talk about like favorite media outside of the movies with Godzilla, because obviously Godzilla as a franchise has gone in many directions. We've gone games, comics, TV shows, whole bunch.
so for me, it has to be the Godzilla animated series. That's like the thing. That's like outside of Godzilla, like the next best thing. If you like, want. Again, it has the weird design that I like, but I understand it's not for everybody. Um, Marvel very recently announced that is re-releasing the old school Godzilla comics, where Godzilla is in the Marvel universe and he fights like everybody in the Marvel universe. There's literally a panel. I wish I didn't see this because I would have loved to got it as a surprise. J. Jonah Jameson, he's in the Daily Bugle building and he's screaming outside his window at Godzilla. And Godzilla's just staring at him, and there's like I think he like knocks the building down or blows it, or whatever. He does something. I can't remember exactly. And a good thing I don't remember because I want to experience it when I read it. But like, I'm like, that's like the funniest shit ever. So I can't wait to read that. It's going to be released soon. But like, yeah, I would have to say Godzilla the animated series. Again, I didn't finish it, but what I saw, I think I saw like 10 episodes or something like that. They were amazing. Like, I really enjoyed it. I really like the animation. Again, the characters like are amazing. They have a mixture of I think Matthew Broderick's character is the only one there that's like from the original. Oh no, there's others. Never mind. There are others. It's like from the movie, but like they really do like awesome nuanced things with him, and it's almost to the point where it's like I don't think you even need to watch the old one. They kind of like give you the Cliff Notes version of what happens in the animated series. But like, yeah,
Yeah,
check
I
that
mean, with
out.
those TV shows, I think that's essentially what they're trying to do with them.
Yeah. So I would say, yeah, check that. That's my favorite thing outside of that. Comic book wise, honestly, what I read from IDW so far has been just okay. Nothing I would say like remarkable. Granted, I have not read Rulers of the Earth yet. I've heard amazing things about it. Obviously, apparently, the best living kaiju artist right now, Matt Frank. That's his baby. I can't wait to get to that. That's like my next thing. There. Well, also, I guess I have to mention there's Monarch Legacy of the Monsters and Skull Island, which is the animated movie that takes place in the Monster Universe. The Skull Island animated series is pretty good. I really like it. Kong's at the last 2 episodes, but like it's about Skull Island itself more than Kong. But get cool Kong fights. Uh, and Monarch Legacy of Monster, it's fine. I didn't finish it because honestly, I got bored with the main characters. Again, it's like America needs to learn how to do characters properly from the Japanese, like to really get invested in them. But like, yeah, so that's where I'm at. Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Right. Yeah, for me, I've read a bit more of the comics. I need to read more of the recent Godzilla comics because there's some good ones. There's like, There Be Dragons, which I think is like Godzilla facing off against pirates, which sounds really cool. I think there's a new one that follows skaters, which just sounds like a fun concept.
Yeah, I
Like
think that's the more
skaters
like
and Godzilla.
I think that they because they do like the serious like for adults essentially for like horror and comics or like action. Then you've got like the kid ones like the kid line of Godzilla. So that's what the skater ones like fall into. Yeah.
Yeah, but IDW has plenty of great Godzilla comics that I need to read. But I did read Rulers of Earth, great series. Also, Matt Frank's artwork, fantastic. I really hope, and we'll talk about it a bit later, but I really hope, in the Monsterverse studio, just taps him to do kaiju designs, because my biggest problem with the Monsterverse right now is a lot of their original kaiju really just, they don't got the sauce. They're just kind of forgettable, except like that one that's like a giant mammoth gorilla thing.
Yeah, so
That
like,
one's pretty cool.
me and Shane talked about this. Very recently, a MonsterVerse omnibus got released. Now that it has all of the MonsterVerse comics, and apparently they expand on the other kaiju's in that. Now they don't really do it in the movies, which is a shame. But like, yeah, so like when I saw the giant mammoth, I'm like, oh, that would be interesting. I don't know why. I can't really explain why. Just like I think it just looks cool. You've got like, I think it's just like lizard versus mammal, but you get that from like Kong, I guess, because like Kong's technically.
Well, it's cool because you don't really get that many mammalian kaiju. For the most
True.
part, they're mostly like bugs or lizards.
True. Yeah, or robots. Yeah.
Or robots. So yeah, it's kind of refreshing. They get within Godzilla's roster. You have like, I guess, kind of like King Caesar, and then now Kong, with like the mammalian sort of kaiju, and even Ultraman. There's not that many mammal-like kaiju. I think the only one I could think of in the top of my head is Ouroboros, which has shown up a couple times in like New Generation Hero shows. Yeah, it's not too common to get like a mammal-like kaiju, so it's always kind of sticks out in my head when I see one. I'm like, oh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, so yeah, like that would be interesting. The ones that like Legacy, which is like the movie studio that's like doing the American kaiju's. They're okay. They're not bad. That's again, like like you said, don't have the secret sauce, or it's just like a kind of slightly different paint. Like you got Scar, who's just like orangutan, whereas Kong is like a gorilla. And then you have, what's the name of the ice kaiju?
Shima.
Yeah, Shima. It's like, okay, this is just like what's that quadrupedal like Godzilla that shoots ice and like white scales. It's like you're not really hitting. Even though like the Muto was also like, all right, weird design. I like it's okay, but again, it doesn't have the where's the destroyer you guys have.
Yeah, there's nothing too special about it when compared to like the original Toho monsters. But yeah, IDW has some great, going back to like the media, IDW has some great ones. Like Rulers of Earth is really good. Godzilla and Hell is also really good. Some great artwork in that one.
Which, by the way, people,
just a cool concept.
Right now, the IDW is releasing these Godzilla library collections, where it goes through their entire Godzilla catalog. I would recommend that. It's like 2 volumes are out as of record. The 3rd volume is going to be out in September. So if you want to look for a way to like, hey, get your Godzilla fix, like that's a way you can go.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Also, if you have a subscription to like Comixology Unlimited, a good chunk of the IDW Godzilla comics are on there, so you could actually just kind of, if you already have the subscription, you have access to a lot of them already. So that's pretty neat. But outside of the comics, some of my other favorite, or at least most memorable media with Godzilla outside of the movies has been video games. As a kid, I really enjoyed the GameCube Godzilla Melee, Destroy All Monsters.
Oh.
That was a really fun one. Typical, like most Godzilla games, you just run around the city and beat up other monsters, and you could throw buildings in them or whatever. I think that's where I first came across Destroya, because he was in that game, and I'm like, oh my god, this one looks crazy, and then his name's Destroya, like Destroyer. The name's so cool. But yeah, that game was really good, even though I remember Megalon kind of pissed me off because he could bury underground. And I remember, I was a kid. I got really upset because like I was like fighting him. He kept burrowing underground, and like I kept on losing to him. And I got really upset. And my mom, for whatever reasons, like, it's okay, son. I'm gonna kick his ass for you. And she did, actually. and I got past that level. But there was that. Then there was Godzilla Unleashed, which wasn't a good game, and I got it for the Wii, which meant I had to like fling my arms around a lot because Wii motion, which kind of got annoying because anytime there was like a beam struggle, it's like shake harder, and I'm like, all right, I'm a little tired of this. But my favorite Godzilla game as of recent is technically not a Godzilla game since Godzilla is a DLC character, but there is a really great kaiju game that you could play right now called Gigabash. It's available on I think most platforms. Yeah, but fantastic kaiju fighting game. Godzilla and Ultraman are DLC characters that you can play as, and they recently released another Godzilla DLC package which has Ghidorah and Hedorah, which I completely forgot when we were talking about the movies. One of my favorite Godzilla movies when I was a kid was actually Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, aka Godzilla versus Hedorah. Because Hedorah is also another really unique kaiju design because it's just this toxic sludge monster. And then also that movie was it was kind of trippy, and as a kid I'm like,
it was the most like art. It was very artistic, whereas most Godzilla movies are like straightforward. But like that movie was like really trippy and was trying to was doing really experimental stuff. Yeah,
right, which is why I think I liked it as a kid because I did kind of like trippy experimental stuff just because I'm like, oh, it looks cool. I didn't really think about it in any deep way. Just I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Godzilla media, it's like that. The IDW comics, I mean, I know Dark Horse and Marvel had a bunch of comics that I'll probably get to, but IDW just has so many. I mean, there's like a Power Ranger crossover, which recently got a sequel, and the Rangers get like Godzilla themed suits.
Oh, really? Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, I think they do it. They did twice, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. The second one is where they get the Godzilla themed suits, but
okay.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, IDW's been really nailing the crossovers because like Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, and Godzilla have been crossing over with quite a few characters as of recently, which is why I'm still surprised Ninja Turtles and Godzilla have not crossed over. That's one where I'm like, you already hold the rights for both. Why don't you just cross over already?
Maybe they can't think of a story.
That and Sonic. With Ninja Turtles and Godzilla, how do you not I feel like that writes itself. I mean, Ninja Turtles is crossing over a fucking He-Man right now. They could think of a story. Stranger Things had a crossover with Ninja Turtles. They could easily think of a Godzilla story. If that's the whole reason they can't think of a story, I would be pissed. I will march up to IDW's office and be like, y'all gotta fix this. This is a problem. Hire someone creative. I will do it for free.
I'm just thinking, like you could have like all four turtles on Anguirus's back, and then they fight Godzilla. Like that would be because like that's like the closest like turtle kaiju you have.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh. Speaking of Godzilla comics, I completely forgot. It recently wrapped up as a recording.
Yes.
But there was a Justice League versus Kong versus Godzilla comic. And the comic was all right.
You have, yeah.
Right. The comic was all right. Kind of felt a bit rushed at the end. However, this comic will always remain special to me personally because it was one of the earliest comics I ever went to a comic book store and bought, and I bought it month to month. And I have the whole collection, got some variant covers.
Yeah, Shaheen
it was great.
Shaheen is developing a new vice now, which is comic books, and he's like getting into the variant cover game. He's gonna get a pull list. He's bagging and boarding. He's gonna get a short box or a long box. Next thing you know, he's gonna like CGC grade them.
Oh god, yeah. I don't think I'll ever get to that point. I mean, even like after that series kind of wrapped up, like after that, seeing like the prices of issues, I've gone to my comic book store a couple times, bought like 3 issues, and I walked out and it's like $18. I'm like, I could have bought like one of the newer Fist of the North Star volumes for that, and that's like a hardcover with like at least 2 volumes worth of
of
book in
content.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And color pages and all that, really. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of hard. Since then, I haven't really been back. Like, I might go back when, like, the Ultraman Avengers crossover comes out, which is
Right.
weird because, like, now I think I'm just buying, like, the Toku books. Because everything else, it just makes more sense to wait for the trade, at least financially, because I can't afford to go like every other week to the comic book store and drop the amount of money I have with comics. But at least I have the whole collection of Godzilla versus Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla versus Godzilla versus Kong versus the Justice League. That kind of gave me a good memory with
Wait,
my
but
local
are you
comic book
gonna
store.
get the omnibus when when the Marvel Godzilla original years omnibus comes out?
I'm not too sure because like I've heard mixed things on as a whole, so I'm not
Ah,
sure if I'm gonna like drop the money for omnibus. I mean, I don't know. Maybe once it comes out in Comixology, because
but
I'm sure it will
but it's
after a
part
while.
of Godzilla history, man.
Well, I'm not like a Godzilla completionist.
Ah, okay, all right. I thought you were. My God, this is
Well,
betrayal.
maybe for the movies, but not for like all the extended media. I'm
Okay.
probably not going to like read every single Godzilla comic that ever came out because there's not that much time in this world, Hamza.
So I have another. Speaking of, I forgot to mention this, but speaking of like, uh, Godzilla media outside of the movies, I've been getting into webtoons and stuff. Okay, all right. Uh, so there's this app you can download called. I know it's a generic name. It's called Webcomics, and I know very original. It has a webtoon in it. It has 100 chapters right now. Shaheen, I want you to Google this. Please Google it, okay? It
All right.
it's called Reborn as a Monster. It's an isekai where you
Oh
have this
boy.
kid. He's a skinny little boy. He is a Godzilla fan. He literally gets a Godzilla toy, figure. I should say figure, right? He's in high school, and it's like it's 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 basically Godzilla, and the only thing they do is they put a sensor on the Z, so it's like God asterisk Illa. So I'm like, okay, I think that's how you avoided like not getting sued, but it's like the art is like, okay, that's clearly Godzilla. Um, Anyways, he dies, and he gets reborn into another world, and guess what? He's gonna be a big ass kaiju, and the big ass kaiju happens to have the design of, guess, the American like with blue lightning, blue plasma, whatever, like whatever, that design, like that type of Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking at the picture. I'm like, yeah, that just kind of looks like MonsterVerse Godzilla.
Monster vs. Godzilla, exactly. So like I haven't started reading it, but I do plan to. It's like it's like the one isekai where I'm like, okay, you got the one premise that matches with my sensibilities.
Should have been me.
Yeah, yeah. So again, it's gonna be, I guess, like that's gonna be interesting to see like what happens with that. Like, what does he do now? He's a
I could have been
kaiju.
reborn as Godzilla and hooked up with Gigan's hot older
Oh,
sister.
for crying out loud!
I mean, you think about the kids though; they would have like Godzilla with like chainsaw arms and torsos. That'd be pretty badass.
uh, but like, how would you? Never mind. I don't want to know. Like, how would intercourse actually happen? Yeah. So yeah. So that's one thing. Again, this is recent, and I only mentioned because like I mean they basically mentioned Godzilla by name. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, looking at like some of these pictures, I'm like, does Toho know you're doing this, buddy?
That's what my like I said, like in the dialogue box it's like God asterisk Illa. So I'm like, okay, you censored the Z. Is that enough to avoid it? Maybe it's not popular enough to get on their radar or whatever, but it's like it's fucking up both. It's fucking up the Toho one and the American one because it's borrowing from the American design a lot. When he gets reincarnated as a kaiju.
Yeah, I'm curious about the future of the series because I remember I'm not sure if it was a webtoon or just like a regular like manga, but there's this thing called like Kamuya Rider that was
Oh,
like Common Rider, and then that like Toei was just like, all right, buddies, pause. even though fans really liked it. But I think Subaraya got those too, and they made like the Ultraman manga. That's basically what the Netflix Ultraman anime is adapting, like the one where like they're in Iron Man suits.
Ah, okay.
Those were the guys that
Ah.
they got for that. But I don't know, Hamza. You better not start getting me into webtoons now, because like between this and then that one you were telling me about with like the dinosaur, I forgot the
Yeah,
name for it because it had like a simple name.
Darby.
Yeah, Darby. Like between those two, I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's time to get into webtoons. I'm like, nope, cannot afford to get into
I mean,
webtoons.
it's free. It's not. It's not asking for money.
Not okay. Not afford. I
Time.
not like yeah. I don't have the time for this.
Yeah. So
The time cost.
for those who don't know, I am getting into webtoons. I'm reading two right now. Burning Effect and Darby. Burning Effect I won't mention right now, but Darby, because it's kind of relevant. It's about essentially if gangster crime drama was happening, but you replaced all the human characters with dinosaurs and all the guns with claws. That's what it is, and it's like really cool. The art's kind of sketchy, so it might not be for everybody. But yeah, it is again like a really like I can't even think of another comic book that like has that unique premise. And like the dinosaurs do talk to each other. There is dialogue. It's not like just a silent comic. So it's like yeah, really interesting and fun. So if you're looking for because like dinosaurs and kaiju kind of go hand in hand. So it's like if you like
Yeah,
kaiju, you probably like
it's like the same pipeline. I would imagine if you're
yeah.
really into dinosaurs, you were also somewhat into kaiju.
Yeah, unless you're like a hardliner, it's like no, I want real creatures. You're just like
Yeah,
okay,
if you're a fucking nerd.
who's
Like,
calling
listen,
who a
I've
nerd?
recently started being like kind of cool with like dinosaurs with feathers. I mean, I still prefer them with scales in media.
Oh, what? Okay. Jeez, okay, just the traditionalist, unscientific Shaheen here. Okay, just
Like, I've seen some that manage to make them look cool.
I like it. It's
Okay,
interesting.
see, like they've done better with the design of that now.
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah.
design like this is like a fake creature. It was a real thing. I
Wait,
remember
I can't.
back then, like when they
Wait.
gave him feathers, it was like too fluffy. And I think in like the documentary I was watching, the feathers were like pink.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, what the fuck is it? Like,
Wait,
no.
can you remind me? Because there's this documentary series Apple TV did called Prehistoric Planet. Me and Shane both watched it because dinosaur show, awesome. The CGI also is really really good in it, and they propose new theories on how dinosaurs behave. And what they do is that they look at modern animal behavior and they take that as a template for what would a dinosaur do back in its day. So for example, the closest thing we have to as something as big as a T-Rex is elephants. So what do elephants do? And we can like posit that like maybe a T-Rex did the same thing. Again, these are theories because obviously no one has confirmed anything. Uh, but like in that show, did the T-Rexes have feathers or no? The Raptors did. That I
Yeah,
definitely
the
know the Raptors.
Raptors did. I kind
Yeah,
of forgot. I think they had like a very thin layer of feathers, if I'm remembering
yeah.
correctly. Only saw the
Okay.
first season. I think there was like a second season. I haven't
There was
gotten
a
around
second.
to
Oh, you
that.
didn't see the second. Second season was really good as well. I really like it.
Yeah, I don't. I remember I binged it because like I got like AirPods and it's like you get a free subscription Apple TV for like a month. I'm like, cool. I'm just gonna watch Prehistoric Planet and that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, I was trying to remember if it had because I think it had scales. Although yeah, it also had T-Rex
I think most of the dinosaurs because they tried going with like the modern look,
understanding. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I think that they all had
Like lips is
feathers.
a controversy. Like, did they have lips? Did they not have lips? Because I think they put lips in the show. Because I was wondering, like, why do they look less menacing? Where are their teeth? Oh, okay, they put lips on them. All
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's always funny because like I could say like, oh yeah, I prefer the scales and everything, but like I've seen people get like so mad and heated about it. At the end of the day, unless we invent time travel or we find some piece of flesh and we clone them or something, which God forbid we do, we don't really know what these creatures look like. There's only so much you could infer from like
A fossil. Yeah.
bones. And listen, I'm fine with feathers because, as we all know, I'm a massive bird fan.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was surprised. I'm like, you should like feathers more. They're bringing them like closer together, like now.
See, it's a conflict of interest because I had my big reptilian childhood.
Oh, okay. So it's like reptiles versus birds in your head. Like it's like battling for supremacy, essentially.
Since I was a kid, I'm used to seeing them be lizards.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
just hard to like not see dinosaur. Like if tomorrow if they gave Godzilla feathers, tried to bring this podcast back on topic, I'd be like, you know what? I don't really like these feathers. I prefer the scales.
Wouldn't the radioactivity just melt them off?
I don't know because like in some incarnations of Godzilla, Godzilla was an actual dinosaur that got mutated.
Oh, right, right, right.
So if we update that, origin of Godzilla, I would imagine he would have feathers.
Or no, or you could say that he had feathers when he was a dinosaur, but then the radioactivity mutated him, so it's like he can't even like get them anymore. Like they're like it's not like the mutation.
Yeah, but like that wouldn't just like turn your skin into scales. Then he'd just be
Oh, right, yeah,
gross
true. I
looking.
know it's
I don't know if you've ever seen a bald bird. It's pretty horrifying.
Listen, I think you're forgetting the main important thing here in this theory. Godzilla's an X-Man, so anything can happen. He's got a yellow and black jumpsuit, and it's like jump around.
I would love that. See, like in Hero Academia, there is a character with a quirk that is basically Godzilla. So I am curious if there is an X-Men mutant out there that just their whole
There
power is.
is one called Reptile. He doesn't turn into
Oh,
a
right,
kaiju, but he
right.
gets like I don't know how the mutation works. I've only seen covers. I haven't actually read the comics, but he gets like raptor legs, which makes him go really fast. So yeah, and like a tail and something, some claws as well on his hands. So yeah, there's that.
I'm pretty sure eventually someone will, give him the buff to turn into like a Godzilla. But, anyways, officially going back on topic with Godzilla, uh,
Mhm.
let's talk about our thoughts on the current state and future of Godzilla because we're in a really unique time of Godzilla where both America and Japan are actively doing stuff with Godzilla.
Like I said, for the Japanese side, I hope we get more movies in the Godzilla -1 universe. I guess it's still again not confirmed. I don't think we've heard anything yet. Nothing's been confirmed yet. I hope we get that for the American one. I would like a Skull Island season 2 because I really like season 1 and I know on a really interesting cliffhanger. And I honestly don't know where they go from here because we got Godzilla versus Kong, we got New Empire where they team up and are like allies now, like low key allies, kind of. uh,
Right.
yeah. So I don't know where they go from here, or if like because for those who don't, so Kong is in charge of Hollow Earth, and Godzilla is in charge of essentially like the surface. So are they just going to keep them separate now, or are they going to have to team up every time? Like I'm genuinely curious. Like, what do you do with this franchise moving forward? Like now, because you got the
I
versus movie and you got the team up movie. So now what?
I have a couple ideas like for Kong because like some of my favorite parts of like New Empire was just like kind of like Kong exploring Hollow Earth a bit. It was
Yeah,
kind of like primal, but instead of a caveman, you had giant gorilla, which I could have seen a whole movie of just that. So I would imagine that's probably where you could go with that. Kong explores more of this giant monkey kingdom he kind of came across at in New Empire, or maybe
actually,
he
wait. You have to because at the end of New Empire, he's like a king now. He's a king of in charge of the apes.
right. So we could do more with that. That could be
With
a whole
that,
movie.
true, 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 true. Yeah.
Kingdom of the planet of the giant apes.
I'm pretty sure Disney would file a lawsuit, but like, yeah, Kong, King of the Apes. Or this is how it becomes King Kong. You can just call it King Kong.
Oh yeah, true. There you go. Yeah, so far it's
Yeah,
just been Kong, but
yeah. So yeah,
now
so far it's
now
just been
he's a
Kong.
king.
Yeah, now he's a king. Like
And he
Kong.
has he has his like Thanos gauntlet.
It's no, yeah, sure. It's not a Thanos gauntlet set. You can't just like snap his fingers and
Right, right. I don't know, the way these movies are going, I'm pretty sure. Because, like, the whole Gauntlet, it was just like, oh, yeah, we're supposed to make, like, a full body augmentation. So I guess they were trying to give, like, Kong, like, a whole freaking, like, armor set.
Armor set, yeah, but they only got as
So,
far as the arm. Yeah,
yeah, so I'm kind of curious about if both Godzilla and Kong are going to armor up in a future movie. But yeah, well, Kong, they could probably just do that. And then for the crossover movies, I think it's time they start introducing aliens because a lot of people forget this, but aliens are pretty prevalent in Godzilla.
yeah. You got Gigan, you got Ghidorah's technically an alien, Alien X.
Yeah, and then you got
So
like the whole alien race, like the Exilians.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like I'm pretty sure, they could get the Exilians, have them come to Earth, they bring their kaiju. Like hopefully the Monsterverse could like do some kind of deal with Toho to get like, Gigan or a couple other Toho kaiju to come in. To be threats of a movie. And, obviously, if giant alien kaiju start invading Earth, they might pose a threat to Hollow Earth. So Godzilla and Kong can, team up again and
Yeah,
fight
yeah,
alien kaiju.
yeah. Yeah, and you definitely want the Jokey Jokey podcast guy running around making jokes while this is happening.
Oh,
I'm
God,
assuming
just
that.
kill him. Kill him.
What? That was your favorite character. You love that guy. This is just, I mean, every
I'll
time they
love him
cut
when
to.
he's dead. See, that's the problem with these MonsterVerse movies. It's just like the human characters, I feel, always drag it down for me. It's either I don't care about them or they're just annoying.
Yeah, or
It,
they're like, I'm like, what do you do exactly? For example, in New Empire, he's like the vet for giant kaiju, and he's literally like did like a dental job at the beginning. I'm like, you had like a fake giant tooth lying around. Again, these are not deep movies. I know I'm nitpicking, but it's still like funny to me that like, oh yeah, he just had that. It's just
See, like I would have been fine if they had, a kaiju biologist, but the character is annoying. And he's like always rocking out to Dad Rock. I'm tired of Dad Rock being in these fucking movies. I thought that was like an animated movie thing, but no, now it's permeating into my kaiju movies. I'm like, can we stop?
yeah. I mean, because old dudes are making these, so it's like I back in my day, these songs were cool. I'm gonna bring them back. Yeah,
Like
probably
now I
not.
can't even listen to ACDC. I used to be okay with them, but now I'm just like, fuck ACDC.
You
Now
know,
when I
I
hear an
can.
ACDC song, I'm like, oh, Illumination? It's become ruined by these old guys' nostalgia. Yeah, and also like in New Empire, it just like it kind of proves how useless, how much you're not supposed to care for these humans. Where like, remember they had that captain guy that followed them to Hollow Earth as
Oh
they're
yeah,
exploring Hollow Earth. He just dies, and
yeah,
they're like, "Oh no!" And then they moved on. Even though two of those characters were maybe not close, as in like they liked the guy, but they worked pretty close with this guy, and he
yeah.
just dies, and they're like, "Oh well, carry on. Let's make some jokes." 2 minutes later. I don't know. The MonsterVerse movies, like that's the biggest problem because like I'm okay with them being popcorn movies. I remember like my knee jerk reaction after coming out of -1 is like, damn, the Japanese movies are like so interesting and have all these great ideas and everything. Meanwhile, the MonsterVerse movies are just dumb action movies. When in reality, it's like, yeah, I kind of wish like the MonsterVerse movies were a little bit more, but at the same time, that's Godzilla. God
It
has
does both. Yeah.
it does both. That's a part of Godzilla's history. It can be a complex, symbol, or it could just be a fun, goofy action romp that you just enjoy the cool monsters fight. Kind of actually appreciate that. Not only are both countries producing Godzilla content, but both of them represent different ends of what Godzilla can be.
Sure. I mean, people have noticed this pattern of like the first whenever there's a new continuity, the first movie is always super serious and Godzilla is like the bad guy. Then as the movie goes on and he fights other kaiju, it gets more and more ridiculous. So like 1954, super serious movie, Godzilla's the bad guy. Then you get into the rest of the Showa era and it's like all over the place. Then 1984, The Return of Godzilla, the start of the Heisei era. First movie, again, Godzilla's the bad guy, pretty serious. Then again, everything else is like a versus. And then yeah, with the 2014 movie, again, super serious. Godzilla's like for the most part, like look like a bad guy, but again, it's very very grounded. Like all the military stuff is very realistic. But then you get, as you move on and on, you get into like crazy space portals and like magic technology and stuff. So yeah, like that's just like a trend that Godzilla has. It's like, well, the more we fantastical we make it, the more ridiculous it gets. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like New Empire had a whole kaiju on kaiju anti gravity fight. So,
Right. Yeah, and it had a hollower Earth inside Hollow Earth, which I'm like, okay, well, like, is it just like how hollow is Hollow Earth essentially?
it goes so hollow until somehow finds a way into the Pacific Rim universe, and then they do that crossover they've been teasing.
Is that going to happen? Do you think or no?
I don't know. Doesn't Legendary like it's both the MonsterVerse and Pacific Rim, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Legendary has rights to both, but yeah, I mean, it could happen. Yeah,
yeah. So maybe I don't know. It could be a possibility, but I feel like after Pacific Rim 2, kind of like the interests in Pacific Rim kind of like dropped off.
yeah. Who
I
knows?
mean, I
Maybe
guess
they'll
there was
come back.
like the anime that came out, but I don't
I
know too many
saw
people to
season one
talk
of that.
about
It
it.
wasn't bad. Pacific Rim Black. Yeah.
Oh, they made more than one season for it?
Yeah, they made one. Yeah, they made two seasons. Hey, I thought you didn't. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah.
I thought it was just like a one season thing that was it. I didn't know they made a second season.
No, no, no. It's a two. Yeah, but I get it. I haven't seen the second season because it came out years later. Not years later, like a good amount of time later. So another thing I have to rewatch from the beginning and finish off.
You know, that's what like the MonsterVerse needs in order for like the human characters to be more interesting. They need to make either like a jet jaguar and have like a someone pilot it,
Well,
or
I
they do
mean,
like another Mecha Godzilla, like a Kiryu Godzilla, where like like someone goes in and pilots it from the inside.
all right, okay.
I think that would be one way to incorporate a human into all of the kaiju madness without it just being annoying characters running around. Because like with New Empire, my favorite human character was like the girl who did not talk.
Yeah, she was the most interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, because like she's connected to like a civilization of people that live in the Hollow Earth.
yeah. She was, the most interesting, which is surprising considering she doesn't talk. But like, maybe that's what these movies need. They need more of that, Gendy Tartovsky primal energy.
A lot of things could use that energy. Say
Yeah.
less.
All
Like
right.
I would
So,
love for like a Primal Kong movie. Yeah, him and like the little
Baby
monkey.
Kong.
I think his name was like Suko. Like that's what everyone says online. It's like Suko, King Scar, Shima, and I'm
Well,
like, where are you guys?
Scar, they mentioned by name because like that lady was reading the hieroglyphics. So they mentioned Scar, they mentioned Shima, because that's where he gets the crystal from, and that's how like they know like, okay, you got to break the crystal to like break his control. I don't know where they get the baby concept. I just remember
I think it's just for like merch. I guess that's
merch
where
or
like
like in the credits as well. Yeah.
maybe. Oh God, but like in the movie when Kong was just like throwing the baby monkey um, Suko around and like using him as a weapon to beat off the other gorillas after him. It's like I was dying laughing in the theater.
I think we're in a really good place right now with Godzilla. Hopefully, it continues. Because I mean, after Final Wars, we had like such a long gap to where we are now that we're finally getting content like 2014 onwards, and it's like increasing. So like, yeah, we're in the probably the best age in a long time of uh, like superhero. It's not superhero. Kaiju movies.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure, especially with Godzilla, because like both sides are really firing off with like Godzilla work. Because in America, we have the MonsterVerse movies, but we also have like all the comics we're talking about, and then on the Japanese side, they're not producing as many movies, but when they come out with a movie, it's like it's really good and has like unique twist with the Godzilla formula. It's not just monsters beating the crap out of each other.
Right.
But we also get those like web specials that are like cool little action set pieces. As we mentioned, there's like the Godzilla puppet show, like Gojibon. There's a whole bunch of Godzilla content. You're not really starving if you're a Godzilla fan right now. Gamma fans, at least we had that one Netflix anime.
Which was pretty good, I would say.
It was all right.
Oh,
I
you
almost
watched it?
forgot. Yeah, I watched it. I almost forgot it
You
was
didn't
a
tell
thing.
me.
I thought I did.
No, you didn't.
No, because I remember I messaged you. If you go back in our WhatsApp chat, scan for Gamera. I did talk about like I liked in the first episode, uh, like the action in the
Oh, right.
first
Okay, now
episode.
I remember. Yeah, you talked about the first episode. I don't know if you talked about like it after, like the
I
later
think I
episodes.
mentioned it, like me finishing it, but like yeah, overall it was all right.
Yeah.
Gamera was the best part of it, but again,
Yeah, like I said,
the
the
human stuff
kaiju
after
fights were
that. Yeah.
amazing. Human characters, eh. But yeah, clearly it rushed everything at the end. It's like, well, okay, we gotta like talk about this prophecy. We gotta like get this going.
It wasn't too engaging towards the end. I mean, it was like what, like only like 6 40-minute
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah, 6 40 minute episodes. Yeah,
It's been a good time to be a Godzilla fan. There's just endless possibilities for both sides, and a very promising future. There's a lot to look forward to. Like I know I've kind of complained about MonsterVerse, but I really do appreciate all the ideas. I think Hollow Earth is a really great concept, and I do hope again, fingers crossed, they just bring in Matt Frank to design some original kaiju. Either that or they get more Toho kaiju. But I think there's a lot of potential with Monsters. We still haven't seen aliens yet. We haven't gotten Mecha King Ghidorah. So there's definitely a lot of potential for the future of that franchise. And then Japan, whether or not they want to continue -1 or go spin off to another new idea, maybe give us another Godzilla anime, and hopefully a good one, because Singular Point and the Netflix trilogy, not really my cup of tea. But with that, we'll leave it off here. I feel like we talked a good amount about Godzilla, and we'll see you guys next time. Next time we'll probably go for more anime adjacent topic, but I just really wanted to talk about Godzilla because I don't really get that many opportunities to on my channel. I mean, I could, because the video's probably not going to be out yet, but I'm going to make my comic video. I've already talked about Tokusatsu. So yeah, my channel is kind of all over the place, even though I like to think of myself as more of a manga comics guy that will occasionally talk about Toku. But yeah, so we'll see you guys next episode. Give us 5 stars if you want. I know our podcast is kind of all over the place, but
yeah.
it's two friends
We're
talking.
yeah we're structuring. Yeah, we have a outline lined out, so we're gonna get consistent. Like the episode before this, we went over. This episode, we might be going under. I'm not sure yet. But like, yeah, we're good. We will eventually balance it out.
Yeah,
It's
again, we were away from podcasting for quite a
yeah,
bit. Also, we're both kind of still new to the world of podcasting, even though I
yeah,
think by this point we're like 16 episodes in deep. But we're
yeah.
still
But
learning.
there's gaps in between with those 16 episodes.
Yeah, there's gaps. Even though I remember I heard a statistic somewhere that if you've made more than like 4 episodes of a podcast, you're already doing better than most.
Oh,
So
okay.
even though we took a hiatus, which I've seen a lot of podcasts being like season 1, season 2. So even though I've never really understood that for some, but I guess that Halloween podcast could have been the end of season 1, and then summer 2024 could have been the start of season 2. We're definitely will restructure the way we do seasonal stuff, because
Yeah,
yeah, that went on way too long. So I've thought of a couple ways to definitely like streamline the whole process of going through every anime for a season and talking about it, because
yeah,
some of the things we clearly just nothing to talk about. So there's definitely ways to streamline that. But Falcon Punchers, keep on punching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.